Have you ever found yourself in the middle of nowhere, looking around? There is nobody in sight, no human beings in sight, just you and your luggages. And the only thing you could see are beautiful houses, trees with lots of green in it. Oh my God, beautiful scenery, but just the sound of birds, not even the sound of human beings, not even the sound of laughter. This is what could happen to you in your dreams. But seriously, this thing happened to me live and direct. This was my first impression when I arrived Germany. It was challenging, it was difficult. So if you want to hear more of the story, stay tuned to this video. Make sure you watch till the end. Hi, my name is Micheline. Welcome back to my channel. So this is my story. Taking a decision to come and live in Germany was really something very challenging. It took me nerves, it took me all the muscles in my body to be able to arrive, at such decision. It all started in Barcelona. I was living my best life. Barcelona is my favorite place anytime, any day. Living in Barcelona is just like me living in Nigeria. No different. I'm just myself. I have like couple of European friends and no struggle, no pressure. It was really happy all the time. So I kind of like have friends, who are Nigerian communities as well, but not really like so much attached to them because I realized that I feel so much pressured. I feel so much intense pressure when I am in the Nigerian community. But when I'm in my European community, I'm kind of like, oh, God, bring it on. We have fun. But the thing is that at the time, as a Nigerian, you have to take a decision. You have to ask yourself, what is really working for me and what is not working for me, and how do I go about it? So while I was in Barcelona, I was working two jobs. I had, Nigerians, they work so hard, and I'm not an exception. Anyway, I worked as a teacher. I was teaching English as a second language, so I had to teach children, in the evening sometimes, and I teach executives. So I had like about 9 multinational companies. I had to juggle in the morning hours to teach English to the executives, and luckily for me, most of them are already English. They speak English, but what they wanted is just to keep up with conversation. So my academy was always pushing me, and my main focus was on conversation. So it was really good because I don't have to stress through lesson plan and all. So when I go there, all I need is just to pick topics that are very much relevant to what they're doing in their company, and then we talk about it. Like if it's a marketing company, for example, companies like Deloitte, they are in the tax world, so we talk about vocabulary that has to do with the tax world. We pick Forbes magazine talking about businesses and all that. So this is practically what I was doing, And on the other hand, I also have an opportunity, to as an office manager. So I was working as an office manager with these bigger NGOs, and seriously, it took me a little time to become a personal assistant to my boss. It was really very nice. And my job allowed me the opportunity to travel to almost all European countries, every other time, because it was really fun. My boss takes me along like a handbag. My job entails translating, interpreting, and writing down manuscripts. So because I speak 4 European languages, at that time I was speaking English, I speak French, I speak Spanish, and I speak Catalan, and I also speak Portuguese. I'm taking out Catalan because Catalan is like a kind of local language, spoken in Catalonia, which is where Barcelona is. But it was really like, I dominated this language quite easily, and because they are quite related to each other. So it was really fun living in Barcelona. So what happened next was that during the time I usually travel, I started having issues with my own self, not with my boss. I didn't have any issue with where I work. Everybody accepted me as long as Barcelona is concerned. People accepted me just the way I am. So like I said, my job entails traveling. And I realized that whenever I travel for conferences with my boss, the people that do the same job that I do are kind of a different, built in a different way. We have a different way of walking. We have a different way of talking. We have a different way of even dressing. And one thing I noticed about them was they are very, very slim, But guys, I was like this. I was very overweight, and it's really like I started kind of feeling, affected, because whatever I tried to do just to fit in, it looked like I'm not fitting into that system. And I guess my boss, started noticing this whole thing. And there was something he told me that also made the whole thing worse. I am doing this, I am saying this like a confession. If he gets to see this video, I think he might feel, so bad, about that thing he said. Like I said, I thought he noticed it, and he told me one day, Michelle, I think you are, my opinion, you are beautiful, you are very outspoken, and you are very, very intelligent. And above all, you are not too black. Not too black. You are not black. I was like, seriously, it was like somebody choked something on my chest, and I was like, oh my God. So what is going on? So if I wasn't too dark, so if I was too dark, then I wouldn't have this opportunity that I had. So this was one of the things. For him, it was a compliment. But guys, for me, it was like, making my situation worse. I am talking about going through some kind of, psychological issues, that I am already overweight, metabolically unhealthy. And then you are just giving me this. This is not right. And seriously, I started feeling so bad, even more than I was feeling. The only thing that was inside my head was, what am I going to do when I get into 40s? And then I was in my late 20s, getting into my 30s. So it was really what was going on in my mind, those thoughts, and how would I make it in the, when I get into 40s. Meanwhile, relationship was not really favorable to me. No boyfriend, when I have boyfriend, is always like, problematic. Seriously, I wouldn't know any boyfriend who would want to stay with somebody who is working in such a place, and then she is always traveling. So I kind of like, understood it, in that way, and not really make trouble out of it. Besides, my group of friends who happens to be Europeans, there was no pressure. Nobody was really pressuring me about boyfriend or girlfriend. But I realized that when I find myself in the Nigerian community, I feel pressure. It's either somebody is trying to pimp one boyfriend with me, or somebody is trying to indirectly tell me, Michelle, you have to get married. So with all those things together, I was super overwhelmed, guys. I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? So I started thinking, and the only thing that came into my mind is change your career, get into a career that you find yourself very much accepting, and you will be able to last longer. Because for me, the present career at which I was not, giving at all. I still find myself, even no matter how somebody can comfort me during those times, I still would find myself not belonging there, because those girls are really intimidatingly beautiful, seriously, and they are very slim. And I think I would not even achieve that, slimness at that time. But well, I decided to change my career. So I started asking questions, and I realized that to get into the University of Barcelona, I had to do some, maybe like a 1-year course, to do a refresher course, because guys, seriously, I left school a long time ago. So everything has really gone out of my head. So I had to start all over. Then I enrolled, in a 1-year refresher course with other people who are trying to also get back to school. And then I was very lucky. At the end of the time, I passed. But the thing is that the time to get I passed. But the grading system in Spain is quite different. Let me tell you, these people are very serious when it comes to admission. When they are doing admission process, they consider people with A's. and B's. Those people are first set. They are going to give admission. Then people with C's and D's, will now come after. E and F is chow. You can go and retake the exam. But for me, my result, which I still congratulate myself up until today, because it wasn't easy. Spanish is not my native language, but I was able to study in Spanish and I got a C. So my result was between a C and a D. And of course, getting admission, with that kind of process was very, very difficult. So what did I do? I decided to go for a private university. So getting into a private university, they told me I have to pay, guys, 8,000, between 8,000 euros to 12,000 euros. I didn't have money. I didn't have the opportunity to get, a student loan. So I told myself, this is not going to work. Juggling work and, and my studies is not going to be very easy because nursing entails you being there and also doing practicals in the hospitals, so it was not it was a non-negotiable, thing. So you know what they say, you might think you don't have opportunities, but seriously, opportunities could be just under your nose and you were just not seeing it. So I am in the EU and I have my EU card. And the EU card say I can go to any country, in the EU. I can just go there, get a job and just start working. So for me, it was what was, before me. But my main objective was to go and, restart my career because it was really very, very important. So what I did was I started making, inquiries. I applied, to a nursing school in Malta, which is the University of Malta. I applied to some universities in Germany and some universities in Austria. At the end of the day, I realized that, what I was running away from Spain was tuition fee because I didn't have the money. And this is the same, thing I'm going to face in Malta. And Malta is an island. I don't even know if I am going to be able to get a job, to work and also school at the same time. And to pay 8,000 to 12,000 euros was also another problem I could not even face. So I decided to narrow down, my decision to Germany and, Austria. I chose Germany because Germany was a little bit like, okay, you are going to do your 1 year program and then in Deutsch to be able to dominate Deutsch language to get the skill to even go into the university. Because seriously, guys, I had to study in Deutsch language. And this was what I was running away from, because I already dominated Spanish. And so it was easier. It would have been easier for me to study in Barcelona. But seriously, money was not, my friend. It wasn't favorable, so I had to take up the challenge. But you know what they say, sometimes when we think that, we cannot do it, it's only because we are seeing it as a big thing, we are seeing the big obstacle. But if we look beyond the big obstacle, we would see that, yes, there is no harm in trial. And that was exactly what I did. I had to face my challenges, I had to tell myself, this is just about me. And it was difficult to even tell my boss. So when, at the end of the day, when I told him, he was not really, so much angry about it, and not that he didn't want me, but I also told him that living in Germany, it's going to really cost me because I don't have savings and I don't have money to do this. The admission is already being given to me, and this is what it is. If I leave my job, I will not be able to pay my bills. And he was kind enough to really say, okay, Michelle, sometimes you have always worked from home. So why don't you work from there? When it's about translating manuscript, I can always send it to you by email. I have the official email, and that was how I was working, and that was how I was able to pay my bills. So many people didn't know that, this was what was going on, well, behind closed doors anyway. So flying into Germany, on that fateful day, it was early September. When I got into Germany, I didn't know where my school was, but I know the address. I've not been to that school before, and I didn't know the school was really, quite inside. So what I had was address, like I said. So I flew into Germany that fateful day. Then before I could finish everything, at the airport, it was already like about 5 p.m. So I took a taxi. The very first thing that caught me was taxi telling me where I'm going. He is going to like, take like about 350 euros on a taxi. Ha, or more. Now, wow, what till now? You want to dupe me? I'll never come, and you are ready to dupe me. So I was kind of like surprised, but at the end of the day, he was an Indian man, like an Indian man, and he now told me, okay, he will take I think that was 250 euros. So for me, it was okay because I didn't have a choice. And seriously, when taxi drivers in Germany start using their calculator to calculate for you, forget it. Or God, you on your own. You either just do it, or because if you go to another person, it's going to be the same thing. So there is nothing like, let me do it for you, and I didn't have anybody that would have helped me because I didn't know anybody. Now I had to take the taxi. But what also struck me was that we had to drive almost 2 hours to where I was going. But when we got there, in fact, when we got into the village where I was going, I realized that there was nobody in the street. In fact, there was no noise, just the sound of birds. The man told me, this is where it is. We have arrived. The only thing I could see is beautiful scenery, trees with lots of greens on green leaves on it. It was beautiful. Houses were really fantastically beautiful, and almost all the houses were white. So, but well, my guest house was like, top notch, was beautiful as well. And then I called the owner of the guest house because I already informed him that I was arriving that day, because I was afraid this man is leaving me. And I told him, okay, just stay. If we like say this place, there is nobody, so that even if it means taking me, to the city where I can find a hotel, maybe if I was disappointed. But at the end of the day, the owner of the guest house came. He took me to my room, and seriously, I was afraid because I didn't know how to ask him, where are other people? Are people living here? Because the only thing, like I said, is the sound of birds. It was a Saturday. I decided to go on a Saturday so that I'll be able to like settle in on Sunday and then start school on a Monday. Okay, guys. That day that was Saturday, the man left. So on Sunday, I decided, had a bath, had settled in, had a bath, and I decided to just walk around to see what is going on around the city. And I thought that, okay, just like in Barcelona, there is always somebody that will be walking, around in the city, young people playing around and all that. Guys, and the same thing I meet too. Nobody at all. And that was like between like 4 p.m. So I was kind of like confused. What's going on? Where are people? There was no sound of laughter. There was no sound of music from any of those beautiful houses. I was like, anxiety. Oh, bloody Jesus. Where did I find myself? Then I had to call my boss because he told me that if I have issues that I should, call him and let him know what's going on with me. So he told me that was when he now told me, but that is how Germany is. They are, very quiet, and you don't hear any noise. And where you are, he started googling it, he said, where you are is really very, very, it's a very quiet place. So I had to accept my, the way it is. Then on Monday, I got into school. School was also another story. Oga, if you go to Nigerian universities, there is activities happening. You see students moving up and down. But this one, hey, God, there is almost nobody. The few people I see in the campus, were kind of like, so like everybody on your own. Nobody is talking to anybody, And I say, God, Michelin, this is not the campus that you have already dreamt. But anyway, doing my tuition, registering for tuition and all the paperwork was super breezy, sleazy. Guys, seriously, if you go to a Nigerian campus, you will line up. But this one, you don't line up at all. You just go there, there is always quiet. Where you see most people is in the library. The library was also like too quiet. But everything was just like super quiet. I have lived in big cities, all my life. Seriously, surviving in that kind of place was not my thing. So I had to, after I made sure that I got, the first phase of my program, which is the Deutsch course. So I got my B2, got everything. It was remaining the C1 because that's the one that will get me into the university, which was next year. So I told myself, I cannot continue like this. I need to work. I need to do something. This is really so boring. It's not really like, the life I wanted. And meanwhile, my boss gives me money every month. My salary gives me every month. And then if I am required to fly back to Barcelona, I have to fly back to Barcelona, up and down for so from there to the airport, it's like 26 euros, which really, costed me other problems which I had to face in Germany as well. That's going to be another story for another day. But well, I ended up paying extras, for my transport. So I decided at the end of the day, I'm going to stop and I'm going to, leave that place. So I left that place. I took that decision seriously. I left that place because check it out. I was running away from Barcelona because my mental health was really messed up. I was metabolically unhealthy. I was thinking of my life. I was just thinking, what am I going to do with my life, And then I am finding myself in a place where I don't even have friends. The only person that I had was this African professor, who was in his 70s, and this man has cultivated his life, over there. So he is, to even talk to him is as boring as ever. So he was not just my kind of person at all. Well, he's 70, but as somebody to talk to, somebody that even looked like you a little bit to talk to was really okay. But really, he was not really the kind of person to talk to. So I took that decision, and guys, I left. I moved to Munich. Getting to Munich, it was also another struggle. I had to get a job. I had to do something. I have to work. So imagine you have a CV, in your CV, the beginning of your job was Total PLC Port Harcourt, and office manager, Compass PLC Port Harcourt. These are multinationals. Then next is you were an English teacher, in companies, in different, about 9 companies, multinationals. And then you also have, to work as an office manager with an NGO that is very well known in Europe. And then you travel. You have been to places where people, conferences, and you listed the conferences on your CV. Seriously, my CV was not favoring me at all. In fact, my CV was, in fact, against me. So I had to get a job. Good thing I had my B2, and with my B2, I was able to start hunting. What was in my mind was, I need a job to sustain me. And another thing is the fact that, my goal to change my career has not gone. So I still have it in my head. I want to change my career. So with the help of, some Nigerians, I was able to just get any kind of job. I got a job in a hotel. And that hotel, and what I was supposed to do is just to be at the reception. And sometimes they will send you to where they are, selling ice creams, things like that. So it was a very big hotel. But what I needed was just that contract, because that was what, my paper entails. I didn't need a visa to come to Europe. I didn't need, to struggle. All I need is just that contract so that they will give me, a work permit so that I can work. So when I took that contract to them, to the government, the lady there told me, I am sorry, this doesn't match your CV. This job is not for you. It's not for you. It's not your kind of job. So they practically know that I got that job because I wanted a work permit, so it wasn't what befits me. They told me that this is not for you. We cannot accept it. Guys, I didn't get that work permit, so I stopped that work. So I had to get another one, and this time around, it was a little bit better than the other one. I got there, they told me this job is not meant for you. It is meant for other people with other level. Seriously, I was kind of like, what does these people want from me? Now, what occurred in my head was, babe, let's be real. You want to change your career and your goal is to study nursing. So why don't you look for a job, in the nursing sector? Probably you might be Then I have started, another university program, which is the Hamburg University of Hamburg. They have a campus in Munich. So, but the thing is that I still had the pressure that I had to start, the vocational nursing program, because they want it to be a dual program, So, well, that's another story. So that was how I finally was able to get, a job. And I now realize that I could get paid while studying. And that was what happened. I It wasn't really an easy thing. It was the most difficult moment of my life. Those years of doing that program. I am not yet done with my studies, but I'm done. I became an RON like about 2 years ago, and I'm happy about it. And seriously, everything is moving well, but not so well, because there is no 100% in, as long as Germany is concerned. You have to struggle through the system. The street system is always needing something as long as you are an immigrant. But the only thing you can do is just to look for a way out. Counting down to this moment, how has it been? I wouldn't say, like I said before, there is no 100%, but I am okay. I think I'm content with what I have. I'm still striving. I'm still studying in Dutch language. Guys, it's not easy. But if you really want to, get your feet a little bit on top, get into the average, get into the middle class, you just have to do it. And the good thing is that German community has the has those resources for you. All you need is just to grab the opportunity. If you've got balls. So if you've got balls, the ball is on your court. So grab that opportunity and make it something worthwhile for you, for yourself. Seriously, I wouldn't really say I'm not blessed, but I would say I am still thriving, but I am okay where I am. So that is my story, guys. For some people, it might be breezy, because everybody's story is quite different. For me, I found it difficult. For some people who is thriving to get papers, or somebody who is struggling to get paper, the person might not see my story as a difficult story, but I can still understand your story, because it's not easy for anybody. But well, I just hope you pick one or two things from this. And yeah, next episode, I am going to be talking about how I am, thriving, and how I am going through my studies, bachelor's program, and how I'm able to work 100%. Sorry, this is going to be, something that could inspire you if you would want to do something like that. Like I said, I started my program with a dual studium, and I'm going to tell you guys in the next episode how it has been for me. Thank you for coming by once again. Stay healthy and stay beautiful, and I hope to see you guys next time.